Welcome to the Tea Time Podcast, where it's all about taking a few healthy minutes each day just for you, with your host, Sharissa Bradley.
Hello and welcome back to another episode for the Tea Time Podcast. My name is Sharissa Bradley and I am so excited that you are here. On this episode, we are diving into Chapter 14 of Journey Back to Health, and we are talking about stress. Now, ironically, when it was time for me to start recording this podcast so that my episodes would be on time as weekly episodes, the stress in my life had ramped up to a point where I was having to take my own advice in the book and say no to almost everything, even the things that I so desperately wanted to be consistent in, including recording this podcast. And it wasn't lost on me each week as the time was passing and I wasn't able to sit down and record this video. The problem is, if I'm not acting in accordance with the way that I'm trying to show up, then I can't come here and speak to you on any of those things, because authenticity and really walking the walk is truly something that I hold above everything else. And the stress in my life has become so astronomical that I was not able to produce anything for weeks. And that meant letting go of quite a few things that I was looking forward to, including almost all of the content for all of my businesses, all of our friends' activities, birthday parties, dinners out, and things of that nature all got canceled. Because when our body is in a state of stress so high that thinking becomes challenging, speaking becomes challenging, and just meeting our basic needs becomes too hard, then everything else really has to be looked at and really has to be evaluated. And that's what happened to me in this last couple of months. I started pushing and pushing and pushing as hard as I could, and then the exhaustion in my body was just inescapable. No amount of sleep, no amount of food or water or exercise was helping me to feel like I could come back and serve my community. What I had to do was actually shut down everything. And this is something that's so hard for me because I felt like I was letting people down, or that I was going to let people down. But what ended up happening was that people in my community started reaching out to see how they could support me or how they could encourage me and tell me that even though I was, in my mind, dropping the ball, I was doing still a great job at keeping the daily tasks going, things like feeding myself and taking care of my family and keeping my house clean. And taking care of those things, those basic things in my immediate environment, was really all I had the capacity to do. And the reason for that is that our body has an optimal level of stress that it can handle. Now, some of us may have a larger container for that or a larger capacity for that, but here's what happened to me. When we have no stress at all, it also equates to not having a lot of motivation. So there isn't really anything to keep us going or to push us on to the next task. So we need a little bit. The amount of stress that we can handle ends up being this U-shaped curve where too little stress does nothing for us. Just the right amount of stress helps us to stay motivated, and then way too much stress brings us back to that not being able to do anything mode once again. So no stress and too much stress are actually pretty similar in the body, whereas it doesn't allow us to be motivated or take action because either there's too much pressure or there's no pressure at all. So it seems like we need this just right amount in order to be able to do the things that are necessary in our life and to take action. When we have too much stress, things like autoimmune disease, illness, fatigue, all of these other problems start to kind of take over. And stress can then be coupled with disease, ailments, pain, fatigue, and not being able to think clearly or speak clearly, which is what I was experiencing over this last couple of months. And to be honest, still so. And I'm trying to find a new balance of what that looks like in my life where I can have that optimal amount that keeps me motivated. The way that I'm combating this for myself, like I often tell you guys in my podcast episodes, this is mostly about what I'm doing to treat my own life and myself. And if this helps you, then that's amazing. But I have been actually doing all these other things around my life to help deal with the mental stress. So the stress that's happening in my life seems to all be coming from outside sources. So what I can do to help combat this, and what I suggest in the book, is to ramp up things like sleep, high nutrient dense foods, lots of water, movement, rest, being able to talk or share or connect with community members or friends to unload some of this burden and unload some of the stress that is things that we can control. Also, what I recommend and what I did myself is going through the schedule and crossing off anything that can be crossed off, even if it means disappointing a few people. And I did have to have a couple of phone calls where I was upset, thinking like, I know these people are going to be upset with me. And I ended up getting just so much love and so much encouragement back that was inspiring me to rest and to take the necessary time that I needed to reset and come back with something to actually offer and something to actually share. Some of the things that I did was I increased my rest. My sleep became something that was so important. It always is, but I actually put even more parameters around how long I was staying in bed and what time I was getting in bed. And I was giving myself extra time to kind of lay in bed longer in the mornings without any kind of self-criticism. There wasn't any, you're being lazy, you're not doing enough, you're not getting enough done. When you're resting, there also needs to be this little bit of inner voice like, this is what I need to do. This is what actually is going to heal me and make me feel better, is a little bit extra rest. I also decreased my sugar and caffeine intake. And the reason I did that is because those things actually put more stress on the body. So if you're drinking caffeine, or for myself, I was drinking a lot more coffee to help to deal with the exhaustion. But what that actually does is it ramps up the hormone systems in the body that are actually not working towards lowering the stress level. They are actually running on an adrenaline type system. So we're feeling more of that stress, more of that anxiousness, more of that, I got to get everything done, but I have no energy to do any of it. So in order to help myself with these external stressors that I have no control over at all, I did a lot of extra things, and I am doing a lot of extra things to boost the insides so that I can handle the stress well, deal with it with grace, and also try to protect my body as best as possible. Because when we're running on an adrenaline model, we open ourselves up for things like adrenal fatigue, brain fog, and just overall a more inflamed body that carries more pain and less of an ability to deal with situations as they arise. So what my recommendation is, if you are dealing with stress at all, which we all have, right? We want to find that perfect median, that perfect place where it's just enough to keep us motivated. We're getting up off the couch and we're getting things done, but not so much that it's actually injuring or hurting ourselves to push through the day. More often than not, what we need to do is just look at the schedule and cut as much as we can out to help protect the body from those stress hormones and from the side effects of stress that we really don't want. So I'm here walking the walk, telling you that I have been dealing with so much external stress that has been almost impossible to show up here. And the way that I actually have been able to show up again is by stopping and by just slowing down and giving myself more time to sleep and drink water and enjoy the sunshine and go for long walks with my dog and just be with my family to recharge. Because when we push and push and push and push, that's when we end up getting to those burnout phases, or like I said before, adrenal fatigue. And once it gets to that point, it can take years to recover and to heal and to reverse that damage. I hope this helps you guys, and I will see you all for another episode, hopefully next week. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you soon. Bye.
Thank Thank you for spending your tea time with us. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode.